What's up, Concealed Coalition family? We got another question in, and we got a good answer for you. Austin, I'm going to ask you this question, okay? What is your stance on stepping back when drawing from a holster? Now, example, they said, is that when I draw, I realized I step back slightly and pivot as if an assailant was coming towards me. So what are your thoughts, recommendations on actually taking a step back as you draw from the holster?
Well, first off, for that question, if they're imagining when that attacker comes, they're gonna take a step of pivot, if they know that much about the situation, they shouldn't be there in the first place. The problem I've got is, this is called a preparatory step. And what happens is when people draw, they tend to make this step. What's interesting is I've already got enough things moving, and now I'm gonna move my hips, my gun, and everything to make the draw. Second off, stepping off line, this way, this way, this way, this way, left foot in, left foot out, left foot in, shake it all back. None of that really moves us in a significant way. One of the things I preach, and if you watched our episode on cover, concealment, and safer angles, is I'm kind of a big fan of either drawing the gun and making your shot or moving. The drawing and moving thing on a static square range is one thing, but it's a totally different thing when you're moving, I'm moving, and we're trying to control the background. So for me, I either need to be engaged in standing my ground and doing my thing, or moving to some place where I can keep an object between me and the thing that wants to hurt us. So I'm not a big fan of the preparatory step, but you may differ.
No, I mean, I think you're right. I think one thing I know that you teach a lot is best things for you are time, distance, and angle. And so this question here, you know, it could vary based on, is he at a gun range? Are they at a gun range stepping back when they draw from the holster? Are they asking, hey, if I see someone running at me, should I take a step back and draw from the holster? And I agree with you. You're either moving or shooting, right? I don't think the step back is necessary, but you know, I think they may be getting a little confused because when you reholster, right? I see you a lot of times when you're reholstering and the way that you kind of move your body so that you're not flagging yourself.
This is great.
Right?
When it comes time to reholster, this is a big debate. I see a lot of people do a little range theatrics and cram their holster in there quick. There is no award for returning the gun to the holster. And for me,
wait,
that's
are you saying they don't have clocks where?
They could, but it's a stupid idea. So for me, reholstering is an administrative process. And the first thing I have to do before I reholster is I've got to calm myself down, get myself back into a narrow external focus. We'll discuss that next season with quadrants of attention. And then I like taking a step back, or more importantly, taking a step forward. And then that way, if something ugly does go on, nothing sensitive gets in the way. And then make sure I look, place it back down with my finger off, then come off and administratively reholster. Any additional thoughts?
No, I can understand. That's where I think I can visualize this question coming from as someone who may do that when they reholster, thinking, hey, do I need to do that as I'm unholstering? But when you're drawing the firearm to unholster in a gunfight, I don't think you need to be concerned with necessarily if your foot's back. You need to draw and be ready to go.
One of the techniques you see a lot of people in law enforcement and some places in law enforcement on ranges is they'll take one step when they draw and one step when they draw. And I really have a hard time with that because out of context, if you remember what's wired together fires together, if you train to do that, I may in a critical situation be tucked in a really good spot and step out right away from cover. Or I might have an overlap situation to where all of a sudden I draw and step back and move, or you draw and step in and move right into my line of fire overlapping. Yep. So for me, I think movement is great, but it's got to have a purpose, and it's got to be an intelligent purpose. That brings me to my final closing thought, which is be a guardian always
and a warrior when needed.